Tales of the Shire was truly a terrible game. It released buggy and broken. It didn't have a lot of depth. The characters and storytelling were terrible. The world felt pretty empty. And as a Tolkien fan, it just was such a massive slap in the face. But to top all of that off, it was a Sweet Baby Inc. game. And it seems that a lot of people boycotted this title or decided to withhold their money because not only has the player count dropped by 95% in only 2 months, but the scores are still abysmal. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, there are a ton of reasons why this game failed. First of all, it was a slap in the face to Tolkien fans. Farming sim games fans didn't even really like this, and it just didn't feel like they put a whole lot of work and effort into it. I also think that the way that the developers acted before release by silencing people on the Steam forums, on their X, and also having producers call us conspiracy theorists for saying that there are companies in the industry who just push DEI into products, but they don't actually care about naturally done diversity and inclusivity. Yeah, I think all of those together really painted a pretty terrible picture for this game. And when it initially came out, right about 2 months ago, the Access Media even said they didn't like it, that it was shallow, it was undercooked, and they didn't get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Now we can clearly see that that is the general opinion, that this game is pretty trash. The critic score is a 58, and I usually don't trust critics, but of course, a broken clock is right twice a day, and the user score is abysmal at a 3.5. A lot of people just were not interested in this, and it is still full price on every major platform, which is mind-blowing to me. They clearly didn't sell a lot of copies of this, given they've really stopped marketing the game on their social media already. The scores are terrible, and the player counts have absolutely tanked. Now, if you do not know much about this game, I have covered it in some other videos, but it is a Sweet Baby Inc. game, and we recently found out that actually a team member had claimed cozy games like farming sims promote colonialism and must be changed, which is, of course, a narrative they've tried to push for a while, but they use Tales of the Shire as a positive example of a farming sim, saying, oh my gosh, there's so much diversity, they do everything right, it's so inclusive, it's so great because it doesn't feature things like gender, there are black hobbits. I mean, the list goes on, but, well, apparently this narrative doesn't particularly work, and it doesn't particularly sell, given the game has already dropped 95% in its player count, and it started off really low. The all-time peak was 6,723, which is terrible for a game that has Lord of the Rings on it, a farming sim that's starting to release in the fall season, when a lot of people are looking for like those cozier games. We are talking about a game that, for all intents and purposes, should have come out and been an absolute smashing success. And well, the 24-hour peak is 396, and players in game right now are 324, meaning it's dropped by a whopping 95% in just about 2 months, which is pretty hilarious. You know, I'm not going to shed a tear for developers who are ideologically driven or ideologically captured, I think is a better way to say it. They only care about the narratives that they can push in people's faces, using video games and entertainment in general as a vessel for propaganda, and it's why I, of course, called them out as much as possible, given it was a Sweet Baby Inc. game. We saw one of the producers on this game say that, oh, you're conspiracy theorists if you believe that companies push DEI into games intentionally, and that there are companies that exist to do that. Yet they partnered with Sweet Baby Inc., a company who really only exists to push diversity, equity, and inclusion into products and into companies in general, which is so hilarious because they claim one thing and then do a completely different thing. And these people do not care about our criticisms, but at the same time, they care about our wallets, which clearly were not opened for this game. I know I had streamed it once, and I was so exhausted by the end of that stream because it was such a bad game. It was putting me to sleep. The characters are written poorly. All of the mini games get very boring after a little while. There are a couple of quests within it, but at the same time, those like quests are just, oh, go out and collect something and then come back. There's not a good building system in this or decorating system in this. The cooking was okay, I suppose, and in general, it just wasn't a great game, which is why it's not shocking to see its player count has dropped so drastically already. And I do think that there is a Sweet Baby Ink boycott going on. So there are a lot of people who do not want to support this company and these individuals who absolutely hate gamers' guts. And it's great to see a game that deserved to fail actually fail. Now, we don't have the console numbers, these are only based on the Steam numbers, but I would not assume that they are drastically different. Typically, they're pretty close to each other. So while maybe the all-time peak on Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo was like 10K or 15K, I still don't think that those player counts have held. And this is a game that is like an Animal Crossing, right? You're supposed to do a little bit every day, come back to the game every day, actually put, some more time and effort into it constantly, be feeding your hobbits and building the world around you, building the Shire up. So it's not a game that, you're supposed to do a 12-hour campaign and then drop it. That's not the intention of this title. And it looks like the people who bought it are already sick and tired of it. I know I personally am tired just even thinking about having to play it again. But we knew from the start that this wasn't going to really be a game that Tolkien fans were creating, but people who want to capitalize on Tolkien's popularity were making. Weta Workshop is actually a company that we thought was going to do justice. They were the ones who did the original props for the movies. They sell all of the official merchandise. You would think that Weta Workshop would be a company that would respect the source material, and they didn't. Their game studio was founded in 2014, yet it's taken them nearly a decade to release their first game. The lengthy timeline is curious, especially for a studio that was established with the backing of seasoned game developers and film veterans. We know that they had pushed that diversity was very important, having a diverse crew, and the game's description, of course, sounded like it was ripped straight out of a corporate DEI manual. Gain rewards through your story progression, join club missions, and help gain official village status. It all reeks of the gamification of mundane tasks under the guise of promoting a social unity. The attempt made here's to frame mundane activities as meaningful gameplay only further highlights its shallow, repetitive gameplay loop. We also know that Weta Workshop's marketing claimed that their game studio is filled to the brim with creative game developers who are passionate about making incredible experiences. So it's really sad to see that this is the case, that so many of these activists within the industry are sinking their claws into so many amazing series. And I'm a massive Tolkien fan. I have shelves of his work behind me. These two shelves alone are dedicated to it. Never mind statues I have and Legos I have. And I was so heartbroken to see that this was the case, that this was the direction that they were going with Tales of the Shire, because this could have been massively successful. They could have made so much money if they marketed this right, if they picked the right graphics, they put really complex systems into this game, and they really didn't. So the scores are absolutely abysmal still. We know that the player counts have dropped by 95%, and honestly, I'm sitting here pointing and laughing because I'm happy to see that a game this bad failed. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.